Hello, children of the internet. What I want to do for you today is I want to make another video review and user demonstration of another piece of gear here. It's going to be a sleeping pad. My sleeping pad videos have been quite popular, so I feel like I'm going to do another one. People seem to like those. And what I'm doing today is the Nemo Tensor Short Mummy. Nemo Tensor Short Mummy. Now I know there is about 4,000 Nemo Tensor reviews out there. And then there's another 2,000 Nemo Tensor versus some other sleeping pad comparison videos. Nemo Tensor versus Thermarest, X-Lite, Neo Air, whatever. So there's like 8,000 Nemo Tensor videos out there. But what I want to do is just do something a little different. I just want to focus on this Nemo Tensor Short Mummy pad, how to effectively use it as part of your kit and be comfortable, because it can be a little intimidating to use a pad that's only 4 feet long and is missing the other 2 feet. That can be a little intimidating for some people. And talk about my user experiences. I'm going to go a little light on the specifications, a little light on the comparisons, and then I'm going to focus more on how to use this pad and my experiences with it and all that. So enough of this introduction, let's get to the meat of the video. Briefly, I want to discuss why I chose this pad over a full-length pad or a full-length closed-cell foam pad. And basically what I was looking for was my lightest weight but still comfortable setup for warm weather backpacking, something like above 45, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, where I'm really not going to need much R value to stay warm with my sleep system. So I went looking for what is like the shortest length pad that's still going to provide enough cushion for me as a side sleeper for my hip and my shoulder. And then I could use a closed cell foam pad to provide padding for the lower half of my body. And basically, at the time I was looking, the only options were the Nemo Tensor Short Mummy, uninsulated, and then the Neo Air X-Lite, the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. The Uber Light was not yet available, so I was basically reduced to the Nemo Tensor Short Mummy and the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite Short. I went with the Nemo Tensor because I felt this baffling system would be more comfortable for me as a side sleeper, and I definitely do find it comfortable enough as a side sleeper. For my legs, as part of this sleep system, I will use this fold-up closed-cell foam, or you can even use a backpack to provide the padding and insulation for the lower part of your legs, because this pad only goes down to about my knees. So I'll demonstrate that later of how I use these. But first, what I wanted to go through was some important specifications of this pad. And let's talk about the weight first, because I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably an ultralight or lightweight backpacker, and weight's very important to you. So this weighs about 8.7 ounces on my scale. It's listed as 8 ounces on the website. On my scale, it's about 8.7 ounces. Compared to the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite, that's listed at about 8 ounces. So pretty close. And for this, you get quite a bit of comfort as a side sleeper. So I'm happy with the weight. Now the fabric, it is a 20 denier polyester fabric on the front, or at the back and the front, or the top and the bottom. And that's going to be a little less durable than some fabrics out there. Like Sea to Summit uses like a 40 denier, a 30 denier. The Neo Air X-Lite has like a 30 denier, I believe. But I used a 20 denier X-Ped Sin Mat for many years, and I did not poke a hole in it. So if you're careful with it, if you make sure you get all the pokey stuff out from underneath, and then if you make sure you use like a ground cloth or a good fabric underneath this, I think that does enough to prevent holes from getting punched. So 20 denier, in my experience, that's about good enough. Now dimensions wise, the dimensions on this, it's listed as 20 feet, 20 inches wide, 48 inches long, 3 inches thick. If I actually measure it, I find it to be about a touch under 48 inches. And then the width wise, it's about actually 20 and a half inches, if not a bit more. So you get a little bit more width than listed. And then thickness on height, when you actually measure it, you find that it is about 3 1/4 inches thick on these dimples. So you get a little bit more than 3 inches of thickness on the thickest parts of the height. So that's a nice plus. When you're using it, One thing that people are sometimes concerned with is like edge collapse with some horizontal baffle pads. I do not find that there is any edge collapse on the sides or on the ends, so I'm able to use the full surface of the pad when I'm sleeping for full comfort, so that's nice. Speaking of the baffling, as you can see, this is sort of like a modified horizontal baffle. I prefer horizontal baffle pads as a side sleeper. I find with vertical pads, like the X-Ped Sinmat, like some Big Agnes pads, maybe others, I don't find the vertical baffles running from head to toe to be the most comfortable for me. I find the horizontal baffles to be more comfortable, like you do find on this in the Neo Air. This is sort of, they call this space frame baffling system. It's sort of like an I-beam where there's these fabrics providing these pieces of fabric providing structure internally, and it creates this sort of modified like horizontal cell structure that I find is very comfortable for me as a side sleeper. So I really like the baffling system. And then this lay low valve is what they call it. It's like a two valve system where you take off the first valve, and that's how you inflate it, and it prevents air from coming out when you're inflating it. And then if you need to deflate it a little bit, you just push in and it lets out a little bit of air. And then if you want to deflate it fully, you pull out the second valve and that air just comes rushing out very quickly. And if you lay on it or sit on it, you're able to get all that air out pretty quickly. And so that is a nice feature of this particular pad. And we're going to blow it up later with the pump sack, the Vortex pump sack. Last thing I want to discuss, R value. R value is 1.6. I don't really want or need a lot of R value in the conditions I'm going to use this in, which is going to be warmer spring, summer, fall backpacking, where I'm expecting lows no lower than like 45 degrees. And I'm not really going to use a higher R value pad. I got a different pad I use for that, the Thermarest Pro Light Apex. I got another video on that I can link towards in this video. So I think that's everything I want to discuss. Let's move on to the accessories. The accessories comes with this stuff sack. I find this stuff sack more than amply large enough to fit this, and this isn't even that big. Like, the stuff sack is about the same size as an Nalgene bottle, and when you actually deflate this and roll it up, it's way smaller than Nalgene. It's tiny stuff size. Comes with this little repair kit, and then you've got this Vortex pump sack here. We're going to demonstrate using this Vortex pump sack real quick. And what you want to do is, so you got to put the first valve back in. So we're going to put that back in, and it's a little bit difficult to get those valves back in. I prefer the Sea Summit valve system. This Nemo valve system isn't the worst, but it also, in my opinion, isn't the best. So what we do is we need to hold this Vortex pump sack a few inches from our mouth, and then we blow into it. Well, that was not a few inches, I'm sorry. There we go, that's a few inches. So we blow into it, and then you just kind of roll it to fill it up. All right. And typically, it really only takes me about 2 to 3 of these sort of full bags of air in order to totally inflate this pad. And so that's about 2. I haven't even got to my second, and it's really not letting me fill up any more air. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this off and just top it off with a really just couple quick breaths, top it off, and then close it up. Okay, so the Vortex pump sack, really easy to use. It does add weight. I think, yeah, if you want to prevent moisture from getting inside, or you want to save your breath at the end of the day, this pump sack definitely does the job. It is a little heavy. Maybe you can double it as sort of a closed stuff sack or whatever, but it's not great for that because the opening is real small. So I don't know, you can bring it, you don't have to bring it with this. It's just short enough that it's not that hard to blow up with your breath as some other pads are. And the final accessory that I neglected earlier is this little Velcro strap. And what this does is once you deflate it, you can just kind of wrap this around your pad and cinch it up to make it as small as possible and reduce that pack size as much as possible. To deflate it, you gotta let out a little bit of air when you're rolling it up. You just kind of fold it into thirds, I found is best. And as you're rolling it up, what you do is just get out any remaining air as you're rolling it up. So I think that covers. And then the pack size, I mean, this is really thin. This takes up so little space in your pack, and it just, when you deflate it properly, it easily just fits right into that stuff sack. But I don't even use the stuff sack, you know. I'll just take the strap and then just, you don't even need to use the strap really. You can just stuff it in the bottom of your pack if you really want to. What I'd like to move on to next is a demonstration of how to comfortably use this pad when you've got a couple extra feet where your legs might be dangling off the end. So there's a number of ways to provide padding and insulation for your legs that I'm going to go through. And let's make sure back far enough that you can see all this. So first, so you got this pad, and looking at it, you know, it's only 48 inches long. You might be, I'm 6 feet tall, so you're going to be dangling off the end a little bit here, right? So I got my legs here, got my pillow, and my legs, I'll get that stuff out of the way. They're dangling off the end, and if they're on bare ground or a hard surface, it's going to kind of hurt a little bit on your ankles and your feet. So there's different ways to provide that padding for the bottom half of your legs. And one way, as I demonstrated earlier, is you can just use a fold-up closed cell mat. This is the Xped Flex mat that I cut in half. So it's the short length, which is only 50 inches long. So I cut it in half, and I've got about 25 inches of length. The weight of this in half, at full length, it's 7.3 ounces. So half of it's about 3.7 ounces. So a 3.7 ounce closed cell foam plus an 8.7 ounce pad, Nemo Tensor Short Mummy, equates to about 12.4 ounces total. So that's about the same weight as a full-length Nemo Tensor or a full-length Neo Air X-Lite. And it provides me with a versatile system because I can take this closed cell foam and I can also use it as a sit pad as well. And then in a pinch, I can also use this as padding for my joints. Let's say you pop a hole in this Nemo Tensor. You can use this as padding for your shoulder and your hips in a pinch. If for some reason you got a hole and you want to try to stay at least comfortable until you're able to resupply and get a new inflatable that will work for you. So in a pinch, it can be used as padding for your body. So that's why I use this closed cell foam as a sort of padding for the lower half of my legs with this sleep system. Now, there might be an issue with drop off because as you can see, the lower half of my legs drops off a couple inches. This thing is only 0.75 inches thick. This is 3 inches thick. So yeah, there's a bit of drop off. That could cause leg pain or back pain. To tell you the truth, I don't really know if that's the cause of leg pain or back pain, because when you're backpacking, you know, your back might hurt from carrying all that weight. Your legs might hurt from being sore or tired. Your hips might hurt from maybe not being strong enough to carry that weight. So those are aches and pains. It's hard to know what's the source of each aches and pain. But yeah, I can see having this drop off, this unlevel sleeping surface, causing some sort of pain in your legs or your back. So if you want to raise this up, what you can do is you can take some extra clothes. So here we go. I'm just going to take like this extra fleece, and then my hiking pants for the day. And so I take some extra clothes I'm going to have, and then you put them underneath, and you put the pad there, and that just kind of gives it a little extra height to reduce the drop off for your legs. So there's a great, that's, you know, just use whatever extra clothes you have to sort of reduce the drop off and prevent any pain that might occur from that couple inches of drop off. That's one method you can use. You can also, instead of using something that's a 3.7 ounce closed cell foam, you could just use these clothes here instead of any sort of pad. But as I said, I like to bring the pad as a seat. You could use one of these, let's get these clothes out of the way. You could use one of these closed cell foam seats. So this is the Thermarest Z seat. This is the sort of nameless ultralight pad you see for sale on AliExpress or ultralight gear websites. So you can just kind of use this. This weighs about 2 ounces. This weighs just a touch under 1 ounce. So you can maybe just use this as the padding, right? And I don't like to do this because it's pretty squirrely. It moves around easily, especially if you have like a sil nylon or sil poly 10-4. It's gonna move around a lot. You got to kind of hit the target with your feet, and then your knees really don't have any sort of padding. So I'm not crazy about this system. Yeah, it's lighter than the folded up closed cell foam, a 2-foot closed cell foam length, but it's not going to be that comfortable. The other thing you can do, you can use your backpack, right? So here's a Sierra Designs flex capacitor, and this has quite a bit of back padding, more than a lot of backpacks. It's pretty robust back padding. But you can use this, and I like to take the shoulder straps, fold those back, get them out of the way, and then you just put this, and you put the hip belt at the foot end so that's not getting in your way. And then, yeah, you just put that there, and that gives you more height. This actually is, there's a lot of cushion on this backpack, and it gives you quite a bit of padding. So, I'm sitting here like this, and I've slept like this, and it's been okay. And you got a lot of padding here for your feet and your legs and stuff. And if you want to bulk it up, same thing. You can just kind of take your clothes and put it inside or put them underneath to add a little bit more height to prevent any sort of drop off between the inflatable and whatever is cushioning your feet. So that's like 3 different ways or 4 different ways you can use. You can just use your clothes. You can put your clothes underneath a closed cell foam pad. You can use your backpack. If you want to be real minimalist, you can use one of these fold-up foam seats, or you can just not use anything at all. Maybe your freaking legs and feet are strong enough that they don't need any sort of padding, and you're able to just sleep on this right with your feet on the ground. I'm not really sure what else there is to cover with this pad. I mean, I went over the specifications, the accessories, how to comfortably use it when you've only got 4 feet of length, and ways you can create padding and insulation for the lower half of your legs. I guess one thing is just my user experiences, my comfort and all that. And this is probably my most comfortable, like lightweight backpacking pad. I'm able to sleep pretty well in this at night as a side sleeper. I think if I was able to sleep as a back sleeper, I'd be able to get by with something that is a little bit thinner and lighter. But as a side sleeper, I found that I probably need at least 3 inches of thickness to feel comfortable, to feel like I got enough padding. Because if I go less than 3 inches and I deflate it a little to reduce pressure points, because when it's fully inflated, it can be a little hard. So it's good to just let out a tad bit of air. Oh, well, that got a little away from me. But so you just let out a little bit of air. And what that does is it kind of allows your joints to sink into it, but you don't want to let out so much air that you are hitting the ground with your joints. So I find that I blow it up fully, I let out a little bit of air, and I find that creates enough padding for the joints. Noise, you've heard me move around on this a bit, and it can be a little noisy when you're like moving around with friction, but when, it's not like noisy when you're if it's bouncy or anything. It's not. I've never found it to be overly annoying in terms of noise. But I mean, what other user experiences are there? Durability, blowing up, deflation. I mean, yeah, it's probably gonna be durable enough. I took a 20D for many years, 20 denier pad fabric for many years, blow up. I mean, all these inflatables suck to blow up. Let's wrap this up though. I hope that provided something to you if you're thinking about buying the Nemo Tensor Short Mummy, or maybe you just wanted to watch your 20th Nemo Tensor video of the day. I don't know, to decide what to buy, because it is confusing to buy sleeping pads. There's so many choices. You don't know if it's going to be comfortable, you don't know how durable it's going to be and all that stuff, so, or if it's going to be warm enough. So I hope maybe this added a little bit something for you. If you got something from this video, do the whole like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. Your interactions, your likes, subscribes, and all that encourages me to make more videos. So thanks for watching, folks. I'll probably have some more gear reviews coming for you later. Thanks a lot. I'll see you later. Bye.